reflection, right? I mean, what you did, what you didn't do, what you accomplished, what you didn't accomplish. This is a big part of those feelings and evaluations. And, I know I predicted a rather robust rocking chair runaway victory for Florida State, but I'll take a 3-point win. I'll take whatever, as long as it's on the winning side of the ledger. I don't need it to look pretty. I'd like it to look pretty. I don't have to have a lopsided affair. I'd like it to be a lopsided affair. Man, we shall see. We shall see. I still feel good. Nothing's changed. I'm not wavering on that prediction. Still feel good about it. I like Florida State's chances to go down there and play a good football game. So, I really would be, I guess the way of saying it, I really would be surprised if Florida State didn't play well. I really would be. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't.
Right. If Miami has Tyler Van Dyke and all of their offensive weapons, Restrepo's back, and, Ja'Cory Brown is in there on 3rd and short, and they put all these things together, they could rack up into the mid-20s, or maybe they could even touch into the 30s if all things fall apart for you defensively.
Yeah.
But you would feel that our offense should set the pace no matter what their situation is on offense, right? Like, that's the thing that you would bank on.
Mm-hmm.
You feel more sure about before kickoff, is that the offense will have a good day.
Yeah, I really do. I don't think that there's much there aren't many scenarios. Now, turnovers are always the thing. I think that, you can't predict that. We know those are pretty random, unless you're a team that has shown a propensity for that, and we really haven't. I feel like, the point is with Florida State that all the signs have been there for a while in the yards per play metrics and the way that, again, if you're able to convert in the red zone with a little bit more consistency than you have, then I just don't think that there's a chance Florida State scores under 30. I don't see this Miami defense holding them to under 30. Now, again, I can't account for missed kicks. You got to make your field goals if you have opportunities to convert in the red zone with a field goal. If you have a situation where you get down inside the 10, you can't get bogged down there. You got to find a way to convert those into touchdowns. I mean, I get all that, but I just think they will. I think they'll introduce more of Jordan's legs in that situation. I think that there's no, if you're Mike Norvell, you recognize how close your offense is to being really good. I mean, it's good right now, but it could be really, really good. He's an offensive mind. Atkins is as well. They really have a good working relationship together. They use their personnel well for the most part. Now you're right to point out that if there's going to be a reason the game is close, these are two different conversations. How much does Florida State score? I think they score in the 30s or more. Is the game close? All right, well, what will determine if the game is close has a lot more to do with Florida State's defense. And that is, does Florida State's defense dominate the line of scrimmage? I think they're poised to do so. It seems to me. I don't trust our secondary against anybody, but I don't have to have an elite secondary if my defensive line is winning. And so I think my defensive line is going to win here. And if that's the case, then I only have to be average in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, there's some things that Gaddis will do, which is, with empties or one back and 4 wide. And I think that would be the approach I would take. Get as many defensive backs on the field as I possibly could for Florida State and test their depth there, test their mettle on the edge. But the thing is, not a lot of teams are as good blocking the perimeter as we are on offense. That's one of the best things we do with our receivers.
Yeah, we do it really well.
We can get downhill and make some plays. It's just a matter of, do you have enough athletes if you spread us out 5 wide, and can you get rid of the ball quick enough in order to make those plays? I don't think if I'm Miami, I would run these close formations, these to the line of scrimmage, these little stacks and whatever, and bring all the numbers to the box and run traditionally. I think you're asking for to be at a deficit very early on.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a diversity of offense from them. I haven't really seen them be able to do a lot of things. Like they've tried a lot of things. They haven't been able to do successfully a lot of things.
The best of what they do is with Van Dyke, of course.
Yeah, and who knows if he even plays.
Right. With Mallory obviously being a problem in the slot, Restrepo too could be. So you're putting all these little pieces together from different parts of their season They've never put it all together in one night. That's what they're banking on here. But the running back Parrish is just another guy. Knighton hasn't had a good year. Their runs take very, very long to develop. And then in short yardage, Ja'Cory Brown is the guy I would be nervous about. I wouldn't be nervous about a straight ahead run. The numbers with a read option, they bring in a package quarterback. That would make me more concerned. But you're having to stack up a lot of things that haven't been proven, and neither are they consistent, nor are they consistent, in order to put Miami in a position to score 24, 27, 30 points.
If you take the game from the vantage point of, hey, I am a Miami fan and I want Miami to win, and can you tell me a way that Miami wins? Sure, you and I can sit down and talk about if this, then that, and maybe this. But if you are that fan, you'd rather be a Florida State team right now. You'd rather Florida State be the squad that you're having to defend. You'd rather Florida State be the one that you have to talk about finding ways to win a game, because they have a lot of ways that they can win the game. There are very few opportunities for you to win the game if you're a Miami fan. And again, just because of the way they've been hamstrung with personnel, some of the problems they've had with the offensive line, the lack of explosiveness, the lack of weaponry compared to some other Miami teams we've seen in the past, even last year's team, for example, they just haven't had it.
Yeah, the number one key for Florida State on offense, I think, is for the plays to be quick. Whatever it is, get it out of your hands quickly, because when offenses that are competing against Miami go bad, it's because the quarterback holds for a tick and another tick, because that pass rush is good. It's good. Mesidor against our tackles. I don't like that matchup.
I don't like a lot of guys against our tackles, but we've been able to scheme around that rather easily.
Correct, and we've seen fronts at this level or better than this level. And, Florida State's sack rate isn't that large. Hey now. But that's also part and parcel due to the offense that we run, which is we know our weaknesses. So we'll scheme around them. But as long as Jordan knows where to go with the football, if we're passing, then the backs are going to be open out of the backfield. And then the next thing you watch is, how does Miami approach it pre-snap? Are they daring us to run with a soft shell because they're afraid of Ja'Kai Douglas' speed and Johnny Wilson's size and all that kind of stuff? Or do they challenge us and bring a seventh guy to the line of scrimmage and say, please, Jordan Travis, it's on you?
Please do.
Yeah.
I mean, that will be another big day for Jordan Travis.
I'd rather than play too high and let us run right into it, because we'll do that all day.
We'll do that all day, and it's a more pleasing aesthetic to me. I like abusing people, and you can abuse people in the run game. It is, for me, it's passive when you're able to beat people throwing the ball. It is not rugged. And that's fine. You beat people however you have to beat people, but you beat people up when you run the ball on them.
And Hypnotic in the which is a nice name for a screen name, says Mesidor's banged up. I understand that, but still, what I'm telling you is larger bodies on the perimeter worry me a little bit, especially on the left side of our offensive line. So, if you're Jordan Travis and you can get to that second point, scramble drill kind of stuff, what Roethlisberger was very famous for. If you can get past it, you're going to have dudes running scot-free without a defensive back within 20 yards of them. That's been Miami all season long. But I just wouldn't even want to invite the idea of the ball being on the ground from the pocket. Let's just get the ball out quickly, not allow that crowd to feed on itself. Well, don't give them any reason. Just make quick decisions, have quick hitting runs, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I keep coming back to a theme here that I've really kind of explored all week long. I just think if the other team's name is not Miami, based on the evidence on film, the evidence of their results, the evidence, the stats, personnel, we're not even worried about this game. We just wouldn't even be worried about the game. Miami's not good. They're not any good. It's that simple. They've got a few nice players, and we can point them out. We should. I can do that every week. I mean, there's a couple of guys every week that I'm like, that guy's good. He's going to be a problem for us. But if we take the collective that is Miami through 8 games this year, they're not good. Florida State's not great, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They have a win over the number 10 team in the country, for what that's worth.
There you go.
I'm just
away
saying,
from home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if you go through and you look at it, you say, all right, let's just look at the resumes. They're not close. Florida State's resume is much better than Miami's resume. And we've had some like opponents, and we've had moments where you can compare the personnel. They have to lay an egg. They have to lay an egg to lose. They could. Now, that part I agree with. When everybody comes back with, well, you're saying, no, I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but we take the evidence that we have before us and we assess and we give what we think is going to happen based on what we've seen up to this point. And what we've seen up to this point suggests very little about how Miami could beat Florida State, save for Florida State effing it up. And if that happens, we're going to have a very different conversation on Monday. And, does that make you nervous because you don't want to have that conversation? I don't mean you specifically, you know what I mean? Yeah, I would like that not to have that conversation. I'd like not to have to think to myself, really? We just did that? We just threw this all away to that team? But I don't think we're going to have that. I really don't. Now, again, situations matter. I get it. So you can dominate the day. You can clearly illustrate you're the better team, and it can still be close in the fourth quarter. And if that happens, then, you got to buckle up because nerves come into play and you don't know how kids are going to respond. And one play can make a difference. Something fluky can happen. I just hope that's not the situation we find ourselves in. I won't resent it if it's for the right reasons. If it's for the wrong reasons, it's going to be extremely upsetting because that will reflect poorly on the coaching staff.
What's interesting about tomorrow's game is you've got a movable object versus a stoppable force when Miami's on the field in the way of turnovers. Miami loves to turn the football over, whether it was Van Dyke or Garcia. It doesn't matter who.
Yeah, they turn it over.
They love to turn the football over. We don't like turnovers. We don't like to get them. We don't like short fields and sudden change for our offense. It's not something we do. We don't specialize in it. It's something that we did last year, though, in this game. Early on, remember the interceptions. There was one that looked like it might have been an incompletion in our own territory. We got downhill. Akeem Dent was a big part of that. Amarian Cooper had an interception in this game last year. I believe it was Amarian who finished the play. But I find that interesting that you've got two trends that are completely the opposite. If we actually win the turnover battle, then this thing could be even uglier than our optimistic viewpoint. We're assessing every week by thinking that Florida State's not going to get the ball in a short field. We are not going to be the beneficiary of a turnover.
We haven't
ever.
Been.
We haven't been.
Yeah. But
they put the ball on the deck.
Yeah.
It ain't bouncing us. If it does happen tomorrow night, my God, this could get ugly. I'm assuming we have to go the length of the field most of the time, 60 yards plus on these drives.
Thankfully, they've had a lot of practice in having to go 60 plus yards in order to score. They're patient. They have found ways to do just that. Hell, they had to do that against Georgia Tech. Lots of lengthy drives. I mean, you're right.
93 yards on Clemson after returning a kick several yards deep. Yeah.
George adds to the conversation. Disregarding last year's result, did last year's matchup have a wider disparity between teams, or is it this year's matchup? I actually last year thought that. Yeah, thank you, George. Miami had more weapons last year, and Van Dyke was playing very well coming into that football game. Miami was in a position, I thought, to play. If both teams were playing the best of their ability, Miami should have won the game. The good news is they had a terrible first half, partly because we played really well. The wind, I thought, hurt Van Dyke as well. He did not respond well to what was a raucous atmosphere. See, I don't worry about Jordan in this situation either, by the way. That matters. We didn't know if Van Dyke would come in and be rattled by the fact that there was a night game and it was loud as hell and people cared. And he looked a little – they got off to a slow start and he looked a little shook. Now, he got it together in the second half and settled down and played very well, and that hence the reason we had to come back to win it. But Miami had better players last year. We were not nearly as strong or as deep as we are currently. Our receiving core was terrible a year ago. So that's interesting that he asked that question because I'm tempted to argue Miami had a more distinct advantage, but I actually think we've come that far and they have fallen. They lost personnel off that team. Their offense has fallen off a cliff because it's a new offense. It's not the same offense. They've had injuries. They can't block it up as well as they did a year ago. They're not nearly as deep at wide receiver as they were a year ago, and Florida State's better at wide receiver. The quarterback that Florida State rolls out there now happens to be the same guy who's a lot better than he was a year ago. So I'll say this year, but it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it's just on paper, it's close. Last year's Miami's advantage versus Florida State versus this season, Florida State has the advantage over Miami. But when you have new systems, it masks how good a player could be. So there are some players that are on that roster right now on both offense and defense, receivers, members of the secondary, whatever it is, that will look much better in a year or two for Miami because they know where the hell to be and they don't have to think about it. We talked about this way too much as we've changed coordinators over the years. That guys are thinking. You can see thinking steps instead of instinct.
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst.
Deloach was a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Early season last year versus November last year. Deloach wasn't thinking anymore, and you could see that. He was just playing on instinct because he knew the scheme. So I think when you combine those factors, yeah, the disparity is much wider this year. And the advantage of Florida State.
Well, and then you get into psyche, you get into things that do matter. They've struggled under Josh Gaddis to kind of get a full foothold. And then you've lost some games if you're Miami that you never in a million years thought you were going to lose. I mean, that you could not have told a Miami fan, player, supporter, coach that they were going to get beat up at home by Middle Tennessee State, who hasn't exactly gone on to kick ass, that they were going to lose convincingly at home to Duke in a rivalry game. You could not have told them that and had them believe that in any way. They would have thought they were taking steps forward. They've taken big steps backwards, and that affects the way that you go and play a football game because it affects your confidence.
Yeah, they're not playing to their potential because they're learning something new. That's part of it as well. And they're a bad football team right now, period. They do what bad football teams do. They miss tackles. They drop wide open passes. They turn guys loose in the secondary because they don't communicate. They don't block it particularly well.
No.
So they've been a bad football team this year. I mean, it's 10-0 Middle Tennessee before the people are in their seats, like the 50 that showed up.
Right.
They're like, why did I even come here? It's 10-0.
There's an article, I think, this week about pleading with Miami fans to show up.
It's sold out now.
Well, of course.
You're welcome, Miami.
Well, I was going to say most of us there are a lot of us down there right now.
This year?
Those tickets.
This year, you could tell how the fan bases feel about making the 8-hour, 7-hour drive, 6.5 in your case, probably 5.5. How they feel about their program in a given year by how they travel. I think we're going to travel quite well to this game.
We usually do regardless. I mean, we really do. We pack that place. There's a lot of Noles in South Florida, and, I go down there and stay with my friends, and there's plenty of – but there's also a lot of Noles, a short jaunt in St. Petersburg, in Tampa. It's not that bad a ride from Orlando.
The unscientific over-under, though, I would say, is 39.5% of that stadium being Noles tomorrow. That's what I would set it at.
I would be surprised if it wasn't 50%.
You think it'll be 50-50?
Yeah. Man, listen, Miami's had some – so Miami has attendance problems every year because their fans suck and most of their fans didn't go to the school. So there's not real allegiance. It's a fake-ass sort of fan base. So they're in love with symbolism. I would argue that when they're down, so they already have a problem, again, with consistency. And they'll tell you it's because we have so many other things to do. It's also because you're sorry-ass fans. But the other thing about it is when they're bad, that bravado, that false bravado, that fool's gold that they always walk around, well, that just goes away. They don't want to be there and have to deal with the after effects of another thorough ass kicking.
But there might be 60-40 green and orange to Garnet tomorrow because it's an event and it's a see and be seen thing for them.
Be seen
but they won't
by
be
the
loud.
group that's telling you what time it is. I mean, that's a toughie. We'll see.
It's like LA in that way, though. That's tomorrow night is a thing if you're in Miami where you're going to go to be seen.
I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm going to be right. It is a sellout. It's fun to talk about. We all know how the games look over the years and how they sound and how testy it gets and how uncomfortable it can be and all those things. But it's been my experience that when they're not emboldened by good play on the field, they tend to be half-assing about going to those games, no matter who's coming to town. It's now, especially obviously if it's Middle Tennessee State or Duke, they don't show up. But yeah, they'll come because this is a rivalry, this is hatred, this is all those things. But even then, even if the uptick is significant by way of their average, it's still not overwhelmingly. It's not like there are 60,000 Canes rolling in there. That ain't happening.
There's not a waiting list.
No, you can get a ticket. I can't help but be nervous because it's Miami, but I honestly believe we win handily and put all four quarters together for the first time this season. We beat that ass. Let's go, Noles. According to Mark. I read Mark's comment there. Thank you, Mark, so much. Appreciate that. I sure hope so. We got to talk to Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, do some betting. Let's do that next. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods, but the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it, and join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business. The cooler temperatures are finally here. Thank goodness. Summer is now in our rearview mirror. With the cooler temperatures, we're going to need some place to warm up. Hearth and Patio can help you with that, whether it's a fireplace, a fire pit, or even warming up while you're grilling for your family. Hearth and Patio can help you with all of these. Give them a call today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning, and they keep us warm.
Hi, I'm Alex Stimley, candidate for Leon County School Board, District 4. As a lifelong resident, I've attended our schools, I've worked in our schools, and my kids go to our schools. For me, this election is not about power, it's not about title, and it's not about politics. This is about our kids and the positive impact our schools can have on our community. Our schools are vulnerable, our parents are voiceless, and our educators are defenseless. Your kids, grandkids, your neighbor's kids, and my 2 kids. That's my why. I'm Alex Stimley, and I have paid for and approved this message, and I hope to have your vote for Leon County School Board, District 4.
If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a Hometown Hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all Hometown Heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher, and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
If you are watching on Warchant TV, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do believe my boy is there. I see him. There he is. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Big winning week last week. By the way, he texted me last week before, right as we were getting off the air, and he said New England. Remember that? And we were talking about it. That was his big, I think it was like a 50-unit play, 45-unit play or something like that. They won that. He hit his game of the year so far. That's the New England game. So, Lee, what's up, baby? You there?
Good, I'm good except for my Canes.
Yeah, this is interesting, Lee. So listen, you and I go back a long ways, and I think we would both say that we root for our teams, obviously, but we're reasonable, right? We're reasonable fans. I don't often look at this game and feel an overwhelming sense of positivity. I don't often look at it and think and confidence. I'm always nervous about it. It's a big game. I got to be honest with you, Lee. I have a hard time believing Miami's going to be very competitive in this game. Does that shock you?
No, I think the only way they can be competitive is if Tyler Van Dyke plays. And he's close to 100%, and you guys just start coughing up the ball. I mean, like 3 or 4 turnovers.
Okay,
you don't play a clean game.
Right.
I can't see Miami winning the game.
Well, I was wondering, because listen, I admit there's an inherent bias that I have. And so I thought, okay, look, I've tried every which way to Sunday to find a way in which Miami wins. And the first thing I said was what you just said. Van Dyke has to play for Miami to have any chance. And then the second thing I thought is, okay, Florida State has to help Miami. That is to say, they cough it up early, maybe a pick six, something weird like that. The crowd gets into it. Miami begins to believe. But short of those things happening, Miami is in a transitional stage. They haven't played well at home at all. They turn the ball over a lot. They've been bad on the offensive line. They don't communicate in the secondary. They're forever turning guys loose. The one area that I think Miami's pretty good is the defensive line.
What about penalties? Penalties?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, what's the one area you like Miami? I would say defensive line.
That's what I said. Yeah, defensive line's very good. I would think they can have some success there. But again, the oddity is Florida State has run on everybody. They even ran on Clemson.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I think that it's obviously the cat's out of the bag. I started with that game. FSU minus 7.5. Are you taking the Noles to cover?
So I'm not betting the game.
Okay.
At least I wouldn't even consider it unless Tyler Van Dyke's warming up. And I won't be at the game, and some people will be there tell me he looks good. I do think Miami's going to play well. Miami is due. I almost never play the due to win theory, due to cover theory. They haven't covered a game versus Division I team. Only team in the country. So they played one decent against Southern Miss. The only thing you have to fear is that Miami plays their best game of the year. And if they play their best game of the year, can they stay competitive? Maybe. So, if I knew who was starting at quarterback, I would give you a definitive prediction. If Tyler Van Dyke starts, I'm going to say Florida State wins 27-23. If he doesn't start, I've never done this. We've never done this based on someone starting. If he doesn't start, I think Florida State wins 31-10.
Okay, so you have it a blowout if he doesn't start. I have it as a blowout if he doesn't start, and I'm leaning towards a significant victory for Florida State regardless. But that's partly because Florida State's defensive line is fully healthy for the first time this year since the first game against LSU. And I think they're getting...
Here's what's crazy, Jeff. Here's what's crazy. Miami ran all over Texas A&M. All over, 175 yards. And it wasn't like they got off a whole lot of plays. They literally snapped the ball 90% of the time with 1 or 2 seconds left.
Right.
So, we've seen a couple games like in the 90s where Miami didn't have great teams. Now, I'm not talking about the team that lost you guys 47-0.
Right.
There was a couple times in the early 90s, those were not great teams. And they somehow ran on your great defense.
That's true.
So we do see some superhuman efforts sometimes because these kids, if Miami beats Florida State, their season's made. They'll be carried off the field. It'll be like they won the national title. You guys are much better. Let's see. If Van Dyke plays a very small play on Miami to cover, but lose the game 27-23. But if he doesn't play, blowout city.
Alabama, LSU. And LSU has rebounded from losing to us early in the year. I kind of think a little bit of what they've done is smoke and mirrors. I don't think that's a great LSU team. They're a lot better than they were. Does Alabama go in there and blow them out and give the 13 or no?
I don't think they're great either, but this is not a great Alabama team.
Mhm.
I mean, offensive line isn't great. Defense is good, not championship levels. The receivers, there's not one guy that scares you at all. I don't like going against hot quarterbacks. And Jaden Daniels is red hot right now. I just think this line should have been like 8, 9 points. And Alabama's 2-6 against the spread, the last 8 on the road here. I think ESPN is going to get a great cliffhanger here in Baton Rouge on Saturday night. Alabama escapes 38-34.
Well, the game of the year, as they call it, for at least now, Georgia, a heavy favorite against the newly minted #1 team in the land. Always funny to see a committee take a team as #1. I understand it's based on resume to this point, and then have that team catching 8 points. Who do you like? Who do you like?
We've seen it happen often. We've seen it. Hey, so this is what's interesting about this game, Jeff. So as soon as I saw the game, I'm like, oh, if I'm getting like more than a touchdown, I'm going to play Tennessee. And I popped in the tapes of a couple of the games, and the public is on Tennessee. 81% of the bets right now coming in on Tennessee. But 59% of the money is coming in on Georgia. So maybe some sharp action on Georgia. So everyone wants to watch the game because Tennessee's great offense. But Georgia's defense, I still think they're pretty darn good. Not at last year's level, where they were #1 in the country. They were maybe one of the top defenses we've seen in the last 15, 20 years in college football. But for one game, we're not talking about a 5 to 7 game series like in Major League Baseball in the playoffs or in the NBA conference finals or finals. Just one game. And I think they've been watching tape, scheming it up. And I think they have, if anyone has players who can slow down an offense that put up an average of over 45 points on LSU, Alabama, and Kentucky, this is it. And if they play decent on offense, I mean, like anything close to like they did against the Oregon Ducks opening weekend, I think they're the right side. Tennessee's defense is ranked 82nd in the country. I think Tennessee's going to crack on the road. Georgia, 48-34.
Like where your head's at, because I took Georgia. Clemson given 3.5 to Notre Dame. I picked Notre Dame last week to go up and beat Syracuse because I thought they'd run on that 3-3-5, and they did. And I that's their identity now. Notre Dame now knows they have to run the ball. And this is an interesting matchup for that reason, because Clemson didn't stop Florida State from running the ball and has had some trouble. But I wonder, and this is my question to you, and who you pick will tell me your answer, I suppose. But I think Clemson understands that all they have to do is take away this run. I do think they'll walk a safety up, which they didn't want to do against Florida State because they were worried about Florida State's receivers. But I'm not worried about Notre Dame's receivers. Tell me about this game in your eyes.
I'm not either. Now, Notre Dame's done what they had to do to win 5 of the last 6 games, play smash-mouth football, and they rotate in 3 different running backs. It's great. And they throw underneath to Michael Mayer. But Drew Pine is nothing special. He can't push the ball down the field, especially with these wide receivers. I think the Tigers are more diverse on offense. I think their offensive line is much improved. Last year, I thought their offensive line, one of the worst that we've seen from, Power 5 conference teams. Their receivers, ascending, not great, but ascending, playing better. And Will Shipley in the red zone is really good. I think Clemson pulls away late, 28-17.
All right, that's a cover as well. All right, well, 2 teams that need to win a game and 2 teams that we didn't think would maybe be in this position, given the fact that they're respectively the Super Bowl winners of the last few years, Tampa Bay and the Rams. Both teams need to have it. Who gets it?
You played kickball when you were like elementary school.
Loved it.
In high school.
Loved it.
Okay. What did you do when it came down to the last 2 picks, if you're picking the teams, the last 2 players left?
I haven't thought about this, Lee. I don't know what I did on kickball. I don't know. I took the guy with the biggest leg, I suppose.
I took the smartest kid.
Okay.
And all right, he may know where to stand. He may not get knocked out first or second. So here's the way I look at this game. I think that the Rams have more problems and more deficiencies in Tampa. And I know Tampa's got injuries in the secondary, linebacker, offensive line. But the Rams, their offensive line might be the worst in the NFL. No running backs. Their second and third best receiver, I don't know if they make many rosters here. And their defense I think that mentally they realize they're not going anywhere. I think the burden's been lifted off Tom Brady. I think we all thought that he was going through this divorce or it was just starting out. When it turns out it was at the end. I think he takes a deep breath, exhales, and plays some good football the next couple of weeks. Tampa Bay 24-17.
Like to hear it. All right. Game of the week is Mississippi State and Auburn. How can folks get that game, Lee?
Do the Bulldogs roll here? Or in Auburn, maybe keep it close here with Cadillac. Cadillac's running it. Ronnie Brown's the sideline reporter. Did you know that?
That is so cool. I'm happy about this, by the way. It makes me smile.
Yeah, I'd love to see those two together.
Yeah.
Calling plays and having fun. Maybe put them in the backfield together. Anyone wants to get that game for free, 800-400-9741. We'll give them the game for free. 800-400-9741. And if they want to hop on board, we've had 10 out of 12 winning weeks. College football game of the year goes tomorrow. I'm going to text you.
All right. You're on fire. By the way, Lee, I'm going to tell people right now while you're talking, this is no joke. Now, I don't mean to jinx you. You've been on fire with these picks on the games of the year and the big weekends. The 245-point unit plays, you went 2-0. You texted me last week, New England before the game. I bet New England because of it. They beat the Jets. You're on fire right now, brother.
Thanks, buddy. I am going to send it to you right now. And we're 54-18 documented the last 12 years on the 40 to 50 unit plays. You want to hop on board? We don't call it November. We call it November here. Get every game through the end of the month. And there's games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays now.
Yeah.
Got action. I don't have to talk to my wife on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights anymore. So I'm just joking. But you want to get every football play on our phone service through the end of November, $2.97, or through the end of the season. We're not even halfway through the NFL season, believe it or not. Get everything $5.97 through the Super Bowl, including the 36 bowl games, NFL playoffs, Super Bowl. One place, ParamountSports.com.
Be good, brother. Be good.
Thanks.
I'll talk to you soon. That's Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Hopefully next week when we're talking, we're reveling in Florida State's lopsided victory, and I can rub it in his face. It'll be great. He can handle it. We've gone back and forth for the many, many years.
Has that text come in yet?
It'll come in during the break. He's
All
good.
right.
He's good with these texts. So I'll just tell you now, he had Buffalo beating Kansas City on one of those plays. He had Air Force, that one you know about. He had New England this past week. And, those were the only three that he said, here, I'm sending you a text. These are my games this week. And he's nailed them. So I got to give him credit where credit's due because I know for a fact that is one. Now, it's gambling. We'll see. I don't know who he's on this week. I'll be interested. I'm never afraid to disagree with him. What'd you think about the idea that if Van Dyke plays it's 27-23? I think where he's wrong isn't the 23. I don't know how Miami holds Florida State to under 30 points.
Right. That's the whole key is turnovers, short field. And the other thing is if Van Dyke plays, though, do they want to play ball control? Because Miami does have an element of up-tempo in their offense. They can do it. I've seen them do it throughout the season, but I don't think that's what you want to do tomorrow night. You want to choke the life out of the football.
Well, if you want to go score for score, I really like our chances. I mean, if you decide to play lightning fast and we got to, raise the bar on the tempo.
Yeah, you lose.
They lose 45-30, 45-27, something like that.
If they can score that much.
If they can. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that would be the path to 27 is red zone failures. 27 implies 2 field goals, a turnover, and then you choke the life out of the ball. Maybe you possess it for 35 minutes, and then Florida State only has enough possessions to muster that type of total. That's how you arrive at 27. It's logical, except it's not likely. That's the problem. It could happen, but it's not likely.
Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
2 fugitives who were on the run after escaping from a jail in southeast Georgia have been apprehended in Tallahassee. 30-year-old John Mincy was taken into custody around 5 p.m. Wednesday on Miccosukee Commons Drive. At least 2 people were inside the vehicle. Tallahassee police are not providing details because U.S. Marshals are leading the investigation. 18-year-old Mekhi Carter was located roughly 4 hours later on Joe Louis Street. He was arrested with the help of the Leon County Sheriff's K-9 unit and helicopter crews. Both men had been inmates at the Tenton County Jail when they escaped on October 10th. A 49-year-old man from Killeen, Texas was killed Thursday morning on I-10. The man was driving a semi with a trailer and traveling eastbound on I-10 when the incident occurred at 4:24 a.m. Around the 212-mile post, the semi traveled from the eastbound lanes across the median and across westbound lanes for unknown reasons. The semi collided with a tree, causing the trailer to overturn. The driver was pronounced dead at the scene. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Mac & More Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macandmoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. High temperatures reach up to 84 this afternoon under clear skies, east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows level off around 63. High temperatures reach up to 84 tomorrow. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Sunday and Monday and highs in the mid-80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 78.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg.
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
With your choice of traditional or buffalo fingers, boneless or traditional wings. If you're having trouble deciding, get the best of both worlds with a sampler platter. And don't forget that world-famous sauce. Satisfy your chicken craving with Zaxby's platters. Order online or in the app. Your Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud Golden Chief booster for 17 years. Go Noles. I want to say happy birthday to my son, Bryce, who is 15 today. It is.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah, he gets his learner's permit today, and it's hard for me to fathom that he's going to be driving soon enough. But 15 years ago, right? Or what time is it? It is 1:40. Yeah, this was the hour of his birth.
He was an afternoon child.
He was. She went into labor late.
Good correction.
Yeah, at night, and I was sound asleep and selfish. I had run a 5K that morning for charity, and I'm not accustomed to running 5Ks. And I went to bed.
For profit or charity.
Yes, period. And I went to bed, and I was excited to be able to get some much needed shut eye. And so I laid my head on that pillow and I fell asleep within seconds. And then from there, I was awakened by my wife, who said, "Hey, I think we got to go." And I was like, "No, you." Oh. She's like, "I know if my water bursts, we got to go." I'm like, "No, let's sleep." So anyhow.
Bryce, just drive exactly like your dad did when he was in his teenage years, and you'll be fine.
Well, I do. I think every modern parent, obviously has the same worry that I probably have, which is that, growing up, nobody had a cell phone in the car. Nobody's texted anybody in a car. It didn't exist. Your distraction might have been to put a tape in. Like that was your distraction. There were no phones in the car. And now I mean, every day I sit in awe as I watch these morons weave into 3 different lanes while they're texting somebody or staring down after the lights turn green, or, like you see it all the time. And our kids grow up with the device in their hand. It's freaking, they're accustomed to it. So you just worry about it.
What I'm seeing a ton more of on the roadways, and I'll get off my lawn in just a moment, and you should too.
Okay.
But it's running red lights that are more than 1 second red. Like, just clear cut. Oh my God, I'm already out of a green light going the other way, and somebody just plows on through. That is the scariest thing to me about texting and driving. It happens on the I-10 area here. When you come off the interstate to get to the station, I've seen it 5 times, maybe more. Sometimes it's a semi-truck, and it's green for us,
You're like,
and it's just coming.
man.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are certain intersections now where I'm the guy who you're like, go. I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm looking. I'm looking both ways here.
Look, I'm not a paranoid person. I don't sit around imagining the world's worst fears about to get me. I don't think everybody's out, to ruin my world or anything like that. I do, though. Now that he's 15, I'm like, okay, it's soon enough. Soon enough, I'm gonna be worried all the time. But I'm also looking forward to the time that I say, hey, so you guys wanted to go get yogurt. They love getting frozen yogurt. Both my boys, they think frozen yogurt, I mean, they're cheap dates, but they think frozen yogurt is the greatest thing of all time. And I don't like just the pestering. And so now it's like, hey, Bryce, you and your brother go get in the car and drive your ass up there to get some. Well, he can't yet, but you know what I mean. Soon enough. And I'm okay. That will be nice. You go get it. I don't have to go to the damn frozen yogurt store. You go.
Ryan is asking us for help. I'm trying not to sneeze for the 17th time.
If you see a Hyundai Accent with Texas plates driving around Tallahassee, tell my son to get off his damn phone.
It's the model of the car that makes that
the
best part.
I will just tell you this. I have spent the better part of the last however many years, let's see, at least 7 years saying, get off the phone. So that is a familiar refrain in the Cameron household. Get off the phone is hell, I say that to adults. I just like, get off the phone. We're having a conversation. Marcus writes, what is the most likely thing to happen for us to lose on Saturday? Refs, drops, penalties, game management. Feel free to add some and order them, please. Thanks, Marcus. I think turnovers. I think you whittle it down to the most logical and usually the obvious culprit when a favorite loses to an underdog. It is fairly commonplace that the favorite is sloppy with the football. Now that NC State game, you go back, you had a nice combination there, a marriage of drop passes and some really, really poor efforts from a penalty standpoint. That game was really, that pissed you off. There was enough sloppiness to go around. Woo! Do we know the crew for Saturday night? Writes Florida man in Texas. Hopefully not Flanagan, since he reffed the UM Virginia game last week. Go knows. I didn't look at it.
We don't get access to that.
We don't.
Usually it's in the press box in the actual card that they distribute to the media. So it's a very late announcement. I'm sure it's by design, but yeah, it's a very late announcement. You get the announced crews for TV way early, but not the referees.
I will tell you something here. And I will, I'll read that in a second, Philip. That's funny. This will help you all deal with your angst. And this is kind of a life hack. When something presents itself, like a person reveals themselves to you, believe them. You know how Jamil used to say that? It's true. You know, like when somebody reveals that
I don't cheat and I don't lie.
You know, the ACC and their officials revealed themselves long ago. Many moons ago, we became painfully aware of the wild inconsistencies surrounding ACC officiating crews. So much so that I leapt from conspiracy to, no, they're just incompetent in large swaths of action. So, like, you could watch Wake versus Clemson, and you'd go, this is a horribly officiated game. Then you could turn around and watch Virginia versus Duke, and you could go, this is a horribly officiated game. And then it could be NC State versus Wake, and you'd go, my God, this is a terribly officiated game. It's across the board. The good news is for the conspiracy theorists about the ACC has it out to get Florida State specifically. They also hate Miami, guys. They hate Miami. So there's nobody there. That ACC crew, if they're of the kind or the mind to loathe the two football powerhouses, at least historically, they're going to be like, well, what do we do? What do we do? I hate these bastards, both of them.
Flanagan did put his hands on the 2011 game, though, and it was so skewed Miami, it was ridiculous. That was the scoop and score in the first play from scrimmage that was ruled incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Carlos Williams hold. Remember, well, he wasn't the one holding. He had a kick return for a touchdown. And then the Nigel Bradham interception. Well, actually, it was, I think Jacoby McDaniel might have picked it off.
Yeah, he did.
But it was the ejection on the bird hit over the middle.
Which we laughed about, yes. But this is typically like I guess my final lesson there was that just assume the officials are going to suck. And don't worry about it anymore. It's consistently true. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the seller's advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the seller's advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain. You know, you're frustrated with your job, your aggravated life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. Gotta get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
America's employers kept hiring briskly in October.
The Labor Department says employers added 261,000 positions, a sign that the economy remains a mixture of continued job growth and painful inflation. Last month's hiring remained near the pace it has maintained in the 2+ years since the pandemic recession ended. The unemployment rate rose to 3.7% from a 5-decade low of 3.5%.
Correspondent Jeremy House. House Republicans on the Judiciary Committee releasing a 1,000-page report outlining how the FBI and Justice Department have abandoned their commitment to political neutrality in recent years.
The report is set to serve as a roadmap for the oversight investigation into the politicization of federal law enforcement that Republicans will undertake should they reclaim the House majority in next week's midterm elections. The probe will be led by ranking Republican Jim Jordan, who is expected to become chairman of the Judiciary Committee if the Republicans take the House. The lengthy document details alleged FBI misconduct under President Biden and in the years leading up to his presidency. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, in consumer news, Volkswagen recalling nearly 225,000 vehicles because the tire pressure monitoring systems may not detect air losses in all 4 tires at the same time.
This recall covers a variety of VW and Audi vehicles from the 2019 through 21 model years. Federal regulators claim a sudden pressure loss in all tires raises the risk of a crash. VW petitioned to avoid a recall, saying the problem is inconsequential to motor vehicle safety. Dealers will update the tire pressure monitoring software at no charge to owners. Notification letters will be sent out December 30th. Rich Thomason reporting.
The Dow is down fractionally. The NASDAQ 62 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I'm Lance Wallnau, Christian author and evangelical leader, here to remind you that God's gifts should never be taken for granted. Take, for example, your retirement savings. You've worked hard for your money, and God has rewarded you for that. Now, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, those rewards are literally being taken from you. But there is a way the faithful can fight back. By diversifying your retirement account into gold, your savings can be protected. And that's what God wants. Even better, a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group allows you to transfer your current retirement funds into gold without fees or penalties. To see how it works, text the word FAITH to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. That's FAITH to 989898. Take action right now, and I pray that your family is blessed with continued prosperity.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF. Your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, we'll get to our game, but when you're playing your arch rival, it's tough.
Even if they've resembled a bum a lot.
Yeah.
And they have.
Oh, they have. The thing is, it's like when we talk about a team that's not playing well, a team you should beat, you're favored to beat on the road, a team that I described earlier this week as begging for an ass kicking. Even if all that is true, one thing is usually also true about both Florida State and Miami, even when they're down. It's not like you look at that team and say, well, they resemble Boston College. And what I mean by that, or Georgia Tech recently, or, teams like that where you go, they just don't have any dudes, or the two dudes they have really stand out because everybody else thinks. Usually there's a bunch of other stuff, other things that are happening to cause that. So, you could look at, certain guys for Miami, and you would probably, I think, you'd start with that defensive line is where you'd go. You'd go right there, and you would say to yourself, whether that's even a reserve like Leonard Taylor, like, a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Harvey,
their guy.
Jackson, you would look at guys like that, and you'd say, okay, well, all right, they've got a couple of guys that you like. But it gets dicey after that. It really does, and they haven't played well. And so I think that's important. Sometimes we forget that it's not always, we can look at a metric, take that, run with it, talk about how that works against, but watch the team play. Watch how they've played, whether it be this last game they played, the game before, the game before, the game before. They have not looked good. They have pockets where they play okay. You and I were talking about them against Virginia Tech, a 20-14 win, game in which they did not cover, much to our chagrin.
But 17-0 at half. That's the best half of football I thought they played all year.
But they got off to a good start, a really good start, and then decided to half step in the second half. And next thing you know, they were never in danger of losing that game. But this would be my point. They didn't sustain anything. You haven't really seen them sustain anything for very much, for any length of time, excuse me. And so I think when Lee Sterling at Paramount Sports last hour, he picked Florida State. He said if Van Dyke plays, he thinks it's kind of close. That's his heart, man. I don't think he believes that. He knows that is their only chance. But they have been a team that commits a ton of penalties. They love to turn the football over. They turn guys loose in the secondary. Their offensive line has been wildly inconsistent at best. They don't have a dominant running game to speak of. They can't protect their quarterback. There are no freakish athletes that change the scoreboard quickly. There's just not a lot.
It's been really strange what's happened to Jalen Knighton, who was a game breaker last year, and he had a good game against Texas A&M early on. Lee was correct to cite those stats where they go on the road and they run for 175, but that's not as impressive now. Looking at A&M and knowing what we know about Jimbo's squad now and what Ole Miss, for example, did to them on the ground last week, which is run at will. But Knighton, I thought, was going to be one of their featured players, and Parrish is their starting running back.
Henry Parrish, the transfer.
Yeah.
And what's weird about that, by the way, Tom, with Knighton, it's not just like you might say, well, he's had ball security issues, so they went with Parrish because they don't have to worry about him fumbling the ball. Yeah, but also Knighton's averaging less than 4 yards a carry. It's 3.8 yards a carry. He's not exactly kicking ass when he does get it.
A lot of their running game is a long developing play. It's maybe a pulling guard or tackle. And they don't run as quick as we do. They're not as good at it. That's one thing that this staff was good at, even when we didn't have offensive linemen, is you would generate a lot of quick hitters, explosive plays, and you would trade the negatives for those explosives because we didn't have anything else to work with. So we just kind of cut our losses and said, we're going to hit on a big one. Keep going, keep chopping down at the defense. Well, Miami, when they run it, they just look like their feet are made of cement blocks. It's ridiculous how slow it is. And that's where something I look forward to seeing Fabian Lovett tomorrow taking advantage of things like that.
Let's go. Fabian, this is something that we've discussed a little bit this week. But I think it's also when we talk about matchups and we analyze player for player, who's what, who has an advantage, we do that. But again, if you pull back and look at the bigger picture here, you think about what remains of the season. And you've had a couple of guys miss significant time that I think probably have eyes towards the National Football League. And that is a big deal because this is a primetime game, and a lot of scouts will be watching because they'd watch any Florida State-Miami game just for the sheer number of athletes that are typically on the field. Right now, I know some years are a lot better than others. We get it. But they'll be watching. If you're going to have a game, a showcase game, a moment, a highlight game, it'd be a good time to do it. if Fabian walks out of here with, 3 tackles for loss, 7 total, and a sack or something like that, I mean, yeah, have yourself a night, man. Jared Verse, I'm sure, would like to have a huge game in prime time. Everybody would, but it's especially valuable for a guy who's trying to maybe think about bouncing to the NFL at the end of this year.
Look, Jermaine Johnson was dominant on the road against Clemson last year.
Yeah.
But when they got to the draft, what's the game that they circled and showed all the highlights from? Or most
Miami.
of it? It was the Miami game.
Yeah.
And he was an absolute beast that afternoon last year. And it was the one that cemented it, from opening the game with early pressures to the forced fumble in the backfield to the play on third down that forced Miami to punt and set up the opportunity for a 4th and 14, the pursuit from one side of the field to the other side.
It was an incredible play, and one that will live in lore and ought not be forgotten, because it is at the very core of what we love about kids who care deeply, and that is the no quit, the effort, the wherewithal to understand the importance of getting them into that situation so you have a chance.
But even though he did things like that against Notre Dame on opening night, which that was Monday night, the whole world was watching.
Yeah.
It's all the Miami game. That's what you saw in those clips, those mashups, when he was drafted, when he was talked about in the lead up to the draft. So yeah, they know that. And it's awesome. There's a lot of self-motivation on top of team motivation tomorrow. You love when there's all that kind of incentive.
Well, and remember, I mean, it's kind of funny. We've talked about Mike Norvell and what's at stake for him, and how when we went down there, he didn't get a chance to go. He had COVID, and a hellish night for him, as he described. This is a chance. It's a big moment for the coaching staff, because you think back to, their run over the last 2 years. There are a lot of question marks, the good and the bad and everything in between, that we speak about on a regular basis, whether it's the Warchant message boards, this show, Wake Up Warchant, you name it, article after article. It's all, we've all had this debate. But for Mike, he's in a pretty good position right now if they take care of business. He's in a good position to have a good season, to kind of turn the corner with those that are still in doubt, but also to win over recruits here, to win 2 straight against an arch rival. These records matter against your in-state rivals, and they matter for the fan base and the boosters and alumni immensely, and all coaches that go on to have a really good run here, or at least have a chance to, certainly at some point have a signature moment, a signature game, an opportunity to kind of get a leg up on those that you seek to recruit against, player for player, year to year. And this is another one of those opportunities.
Well, you win this one, you can claim that, in the games I've been on the sideline for against Miami, I'm 2-0. And that would be a rightful claim. But I hope that this night on that field resembles the one 2 years ago insofar as the margin on the scoreboard. It's just that it's flipped. I think you've got an opportunity to be Rhett Lashley on the sideline doing chest bumps with your players, because of shots down the field. And I love this game for that reason, too, a rivalry game, because there are times when in the second half it feels like we've taken our foot off the gas. That's in previous weeks. Obviously, Georgia Tech, it was a slow start. There is no reason to slow down for anything tomorrow night, whether it's if you get the backups in, if you're lucky enough to be in that position, everybody should be going full 100% at all times, because you want to run it up on your rival. I like that mentality that lends itself towards, we're not satisfied at 14-0 or 17-3. We're not satisfied in the third quarter, halfway through, if we're lucky enough to get it to a place, and good enough to get it to a place where it's 31-10. No, we're not done yet. Don't put me off this field. I want 38. I want 45. I want 50. I hope that that's what we see tomorrow.
It would be foolhardy to decide to just kind of play it out. I do believe, and I think that our attitudes have shifted over the years. There was a time where sportsmanship, and I'm not talking about dirty play or anything like that. I'm talking about managing numbers, managing scores, and just moving on after you have a win. I don't think in the era where you're trying to impress people, committees, and the like, I don't even really think it's a thing anymore. Now, not that Florida State's going to make the playoff, you know what I mean, but you have to impress recruits all the time. You have to make definitive statements whenever you can. And I think all the coaches kind of get it now. They're like, well, listen, you got to play well, because if you're not, most teams are going to do what they have to do. They're gonna make those statements. I mean, they're competing around every turn for NIL dollars. They're competing for recruits. They're competing for those that ranked teams and all of that. A rivalry game anymore, if you can paste your rival, you've got to do it, especially down there in front of those recruits. Oh, you do it. You beat that ass.
What's notable, too, is he's pushed that button this season against Boston College. He said, my challenge to the team was to dominate this opponent. Some coaches don't like that word. They say stick in the process, just do your job, and at the end of the day, it's the result will take care of itself. He said before the BC game, I want to see you dominate an opponent. Well, that should be the message for tomorrow. Come on. You don't get a chance against Miami to do something like this that often. So let's take advantage of it.
When they asked me my prediction, I think I said 41-17, Florida State. If Florida State's in a position to do that, oh man, would there be anything that makes you more giddy than you're up, I don't know, whatever, you're up 34-10, and it's the start of the fourth quarter, and you've got the ball on your 30, and we're 5 wide. Like, here we go. Would you just not smile ear to ear, or would you be like, well, that's not necessary?
Or you go 1 wide out of what looks like goal line I back personnel, I formation, play action over the top.
That's fun.
As one Fisher did.
Yes, he did.
Jimbo Fisher
yes, he did.
At Clemson.
Yeah, that was funny. And it also led to a kid getting blown up.
It did.
I mean, that was ruthless.
That was out of the end zone, that play was called.
Yeah, that is, I see it. The opportunity. It is afoot. We have a chance to do some things here.
I remember sitting behind. That was the only time I was in that press box for that game. I went up to go get a couple refreshments, and I was sitting behind. It was like a high school desk they had set up, and Andy Staples was there, and he goes, "Oh no!" Like,
are you talking about after the O'Leary trucking?
Well, no, not that. That was a different play, but
no, that's the play action. That's down to him, and he just blows that kid up.
That's a different drive.
Okay.
But this is the play action out of the end zone that should have gone for a touchdown. We get tackled, whatever it was. How long was that play? Huge play.
Yeah.
But that press box is right there in that part of the field. So the end zone's in front of you. So you see the fake. And as it's happening, a national writer with no dog in the fight, Gator grad, if anything.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Goes, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that great?
Jimbo, jeez.
Yeah. Full throttle, man. Full throttle. And I would suggest...
I want Joe Test tomorrow on the call, because he's on the call tomorrow. He goes, oh, no.
Well, and I would hope that, it's not... I think the message that we're talking about sending and the attacking mindset that we're discussing with Florida State has to do with all of these remaining games. Really, all of them. Graduate to the next level. Present your case that you are firmly moving forward with a different way of being and thinking and acting. You are no longer mired back here in uncertainty. You're a good team trying to be great. That's what you should be revealing to the college football world and your opponents on a regular basis, but maybe to yourself, maybe convincing yourself along the way. Those kids have put in the work. They've worked tirelessly. They've worked hard together. They've suffered setbacks, but they've also had some nice moments. Go get your reward. I talk about that all the time. Football is a very, very difficult game. It is a game of countless amounts of sacrifice. A lot of these guys toil in the off season for hours on end just to get their body ready for the punishment that's going to come in the fall. And obviously they sacrifice for each other. They sacrifice a lot of good times being a collegiate student by not going out and doing the things that their fellow students are doing, because they've got to be in the best possible shape, because they have to be prepared for the brutality of a football season. Your reward is to take the big step forward for all those sacrifices and become something that you're not right now, which is you have a chance to be very, very good moving towards great. And then the opportunities abound for you both at the next level, because you're playing more high-profile games. You're having greater success. You get more opportunities in terms of what kinds of bowls you go to, potentially a college football playoff game. I mean, there's all these things that you're working towards. Your reward for all of that is to take advantage of these chances. And, yeah, I mean, with Miami, there's a whole lot of vitriol there to boot. There's, of course you want to beat their ass because they're Miami. But it's also getting your just due. You've put yourself in this position. Go do it for all of these games. Go beat Syracuse's ass after this. I mean, there's all of these things. Of course, I just want that to be the familiar, like, oh, man, they've graduated. Here we go. This is a different team. I want this to set the bar for what kinds of conversations we're having in the offseason. Like, oh, man, okay, so now they've put their best foot forward. Now they've announced with great certainty that they're good. Can they get to great? Well, we got to fill this hole. But with a season like that, there are a lot of transfer portal guys that are looking, going, hey, I like what's going on there. There's no question about where they're headed. They are clearly moving in the right direction. Right now, I think you probably have a lot of people that say, yeah, they're better. They're better, but I don't know. I don't think they're on the cusp of being great. Go convince them that you are by getting these wins. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, no, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods. But the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it. And join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
Are you prepared for more severe food shortages? It's likely that over the next year, serious food shortages will plague us. American farmers are dealing with insane diesel fuel prices and fertilizer shortages, which will lower crop yields. And that means your family's favorite foods will soon be in short supply while fetching sky-high prices. Inflation is the new normal, folks. It's time to act before things get even worse. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com without delay. You'll find ready-hour emergency food kits from My Patriot Supply that last up to 25 years in storage. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories a day to keep your energy up. Order your emergency food kits today by going to MyPatriotSupply.com. Your food ships fast and arrives in unmarked boxes. Listen, there are ways to beat food shortages. When you're ready for real preparedness, make sure to look for ready-hour foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now. MyPatriotSupply.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
I'd go with Zaxby's signature sandwich. It's a huge piece of chicken. 3 thick cut pickled chips to go with on a split top bun. And the Zaxby sauce, which is good. Big, delicious, only at your neighborhood Tallahassee Zaxby's. Your Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud Golden Chief booster for 17 years. Go Noles. Jermaine Johnson was asked about during that last segment. I did not get to the answer. His best game happened in early October against the Steelers, in which he had 3 solo tackles, an assist, and a sack. But on the year, he has not been the starter. He has just 8 tackles this season and 1.5 sacks. So he's been a backup, and I have not checked as of late, but he's played, but he hasn't played a ton since early October. So I don't know if he's banged up. I got to double check.
Mel Kiper is what he is, and he's not what he's not. I understand this, but Jared Verse, was listed as I think, number 25 player in his latest college football player rankings ahead of the draft. One of the interesting things he said was that Verse could either play defensive end or stand-up linebacker, and I don't know why we always have to do that. I understand that in our scheme, you might not have your hand in the dirt, but I don't know that Jared could play that position per se as a stand-up linebacker. I think you want him rushing the passer, doing what he does, getting on tackles and putting them on their butts.
He's also going to get bigger too. So I think he'll get to like 265 or whatever in that range. And he's kind of close to that now. And then he's got that power. He's got that violent punch right to the chest plate.
He did it again this past weekend.
Yeah, he usually unleashes that beast at least once or twice a game. And then he's got the speed to get around. Slow-footed tackles, especially, you see that happen. He just runs right past him, and he's got pretty good bend. I think he could get better there, but he's still working on his moves. That's a guy that is being drafted for the upside. He's young and he's just really powerful, and that body type plays. So, I do think it's not surprising to see him projected. It sucks for us. I thought we were going to get more than a freaking season out of the kid, and he's been banged up this year for us too. Now we'll see. Maybe the pros don't think what he thinks, but I mean,
if they don't, it's because bad things happen the next 4 weeks. So hopefully this is an absolute moot point at the end of our stretch run here. We finished 9-3 on the season. Jared goes wild starting with tomorrow, and it is what it is. And you say, all right, look at that. 2 in a row. Defensive ends out there in the netherworld, come to Florida State. This is what we do. We get you paid.
Well, I think you're going to be able to do that regardless, either this year or next. But yeah, you're right. It's important to be able to do that. And that is the area that I'm most buoyed by, because consistently they have proven that they can evaluate that player well, get that player in, get them to buy in, have success, and raise stock. And if you do those things, players will flock to your program. And now, if you do those things and you win football games at a much higher clip, then yeah, you probably get an even greater haul. And we have NIL money to work with. So, okay, you got roster retention to take care of, but you also have the ability to go out and identify 4 or 5 kids. I'll be very fascinated. I brought this up a little over a week ago. I know of 2 players that have been identified that are in another conference that are kids from the state of Florida that are playing elsewhere. And, there may be an effort to get them to come on home. And I'd be interested to see, though, because I think it's going to depend on how we finish the year and how the team they currently play for finishes the year, because the team that one of the teams that they play for is playing pretty well. So,
well, we just got to make sure that we maximize our budget and allocate it where we need to. That's the whole thing for this offseason, is making sure that you support Rising Spear. We all support Rising Spear, and then Rising Spear supports football, and then some more football. That's what I would hope.
I don't know how you could see it any other way. I mean, how foolish would it be to want to squander this money in the era where, in order to compete, you do have to have packages ready, financial packages ready for the best players. Surely they understand the economic impact of Florida State being successful on the gridiron.
Surely they do, yes.
And how that then positively affects some of the other programs that some people maybe want those funds to go to.
You want to argue about trickle down in the economic
That's
form,
a
you
different
can.
deal.
But when it comes to the hierarchy of sports and the amount of money that's generated through college sports,
that is inarguable.
That is inarguable,
Yeah.
folks. It's football, and that's where we need to be.
All right. Well, I'm getting ready to house my mom again this week, so you're gonna have
Man,
to. Yeah.
I think you had one blemish last week.
Is that
in
right?
those 5 games?
I think it was ugly. Director Matthew will.
He'll know.
Yeah, he'll tell us. We're gonna take a quick break. Come back. We'll call her, and then I will just widen this lead. It could. Can I get it to 20 games? Can I get it up to 20 games? Oh, I'm like what I want Mike Norvell to be this weekend. Ruthless. You don't just stop once you're up big. You keep building, and humiliating whenever you can.
But there's nothing else to climb. You keep climbing. Well, what do I climb?
Oh, my goodness. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
State officers have arrested a South Georgia police chief who's accused of burglarizing a home. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation arrested Willacoochee Police Chief Anthony Williams and charged him with burglary. Williams, 49, turned himself in Wednesday and was booked into the Atkinson County Jail and was released on bond. The initial investigation indicates that Williams burglarized a home on October 11th. The investigation continues, and anyone with information is asked to contact the District Attorney's Office or the GBI. Once the investigation is complete, it will be turned over to the District Attorney's Office for prosecution. The Leon County Sheriff's Office shared via social media that the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is aware of a black bear roaming around northeast Tallahassee. While rare, bears do pass through Tallahassee from time to time. Give the bear some space and it will leave the area on its own. Any concerns about the bear can be directed to FWC at 850-265-3676. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. High temperatures reach up to 84 this afternoon under clear skies, east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows level off around 63. High temperatures reach up to 84 tomorrow. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Sunday and Monday and highs in the mid 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 81.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced, and while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matt Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We can talk about our feelings.
That's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Not going so well.
I have to tell on her a little bit. She used a 4-letter word when she described her performance to date this season. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a weekly tutorial from her son about how to pick football games. I mean, that's how this has gone. Go ahead.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room! Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
So, Mom, I think I went 4-1 last week against you, including getting the win with Seattle over the Giants, the Saints. I also had what were the other games?
I know.
Mr. Unlimited.
I will tell you, you won the Denver-Jacksonville game.
Yes, I did.
You won the New Orleans Raiders game.
Oh, I didn't just win that game. They shut the Raiders out.
I'm telling you, you won the New England Jets game.
Easily.
I won the Washington Indy game.
You did.
Yeah, praise the Lord. And let's see here. Is there another one?
Seattle and the Giants. I took Seattle.
Oh, okay. That's on here somewhere. Well, anyway, I'm telling you, I just said, I told Tom, I said, I did.
Go easy.
I know. I won't say the word I said. But anyway, it begins with an S. And I said, that's how bad I have done so far this year. And he laughed. He goes, well, it's a good thing you weren't on the air then.
Yeah.
Said, oh, it runs in the family.
Yeah, that's true. You're down 11. You're down 11.
Isn't that the most ridiculous thing ever? But as I remember, was it last year or the year before? I was down a lot, and I came back, and I think I only lost by not much.
There was this one year where I think I had a robust 11 to 13 game lead, and you're right. Like the last week of the season, you rallied all the way back to pull within one or something like that. Yeah. I think that's accurate.
I know it. So I know there's still hope for me and the Bucks. I don't know. There might be more hope for me than the Bucks, but no, I'm not saying that. I know. I think the Bucks are going to get their act together.
All right. Well, let's go through this. Let's have fun with it. I'm excited about the games this week, and it is. I'm going to assume that you had the Eagles last night, as I did.
Yes, I did. But that game, at least halfway through, I thought the Texans hung in there pretty good with them.
They did. I took the Texans plus 14 and covered. So I won my gambling bet, but I also won the pick 'em in the contest. So that's good. Yeah, we're good. All right, here we go, Mama. I'm start with these 1 o'clock games. You ready?
Yep.
The Chargers are facing the Falcons in a tricky game on the road.
Yeah, I took Atlanta. I don't know about these Chargers. I know I like their quarterback, but they're struggling. And so is Atlanta, but I think Atlanta's starting to get their act together a little bit.
It's all about matchups. I'll take the Chargers here to take out the Falcons. We're already one different. Here we go.
Lord.
Dolphins are at the Bears.
Yeah, I'm taking Miami.
Me too. Carolina Panthers are at Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I took Cincinnati.
Yep. Packers are at the Lions.
Now, I think this game I think the Lions could beat the Packers.
I think they could too, but I am not picking them.
I know. I didn't pick them either. I don't have any nerves. I really do think that they could.
They could. I hope they do. Screw Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Anyhow.
I hope they do too, because we both lose, so it won't matter.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, we both took the Packers. The Raiders, who are awful, face the Jags, who are awful.
I know. Could there be a worse game? Well, I took the Raiders.
I'm torn here. I'm really torn. I think these two teams.
I'm very torn too, but I just think the Raiders have more people that can make plays if they will.
I'm going to agree with that and take the Raiders as well, but it's I don't like that game, and I won't watch it.
Me neither. I hope it's not on.
Yeah. Colts at Patriots.
Oh, I'm taking New England.
Me too. Bills at Jets.
Bills. That might be the easiest pick of the day. And watch the Jets win.
I'm taking the Bills as well. Vikings at Commanders.
Oh, yeah. Now, how I like those And they came through for me.
They were your lone win.
I know it. But I am taking Minnesota.
Me too. The Seahawks, who are the surprise of the NFL this year, taking on a disappointing Arizona Cardinals team.
I know it. I took Seattle.
I'm taking Arizona.
Are you really?
Yeah, a little bounce back there. I'll take Arizona. They're in desperation mode here. I think they can do it.
They are in desperation, but anyway, okay.
All right, here it comes down to it, Mama. two bitterly disappointing teams, the Los Angeles Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't bother me about the Rams one bit, but it does bother me about our Buckaroos. I am picking the Bucs.
I am taking the Bucs as well, and I'm not sure I believe.
That's a good omen.
I guess. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a coin flip, but I think the Rams are really in trouble. The Bucs are too, but maybe less so. Titans at Chiefs, great game.
That is a great game. I'm taking Kansas City. I mean, I think Tennessee, it's another one of those ones where I think they could definitely win, but I just kind of think they're playing at Kansas City, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I took KC.
Hard not to. And finally, Ravens at Saints, sneaky good game.
Yeah, I took Baltimore.
I'm going to take the Saints. How about that?
Really?
Yeah. I think
all right, what's your logic on that one?
So first of all, I took the Saints against the Raiders last week, and they shut out the Raiders. I think the Saints have a very good defense that is just starting to get healthy and play better. And I think they're competent enough right now on offense. And I'm picking the Saints to go on a run here. I think the Saints could win the division.
Really?
Yep. Yep. Well, I mean, look, the Bucs are terrible. I don't think the Falcons are any good. I would pick the Saints over the Falcons. So there you go.
Well, we'll see. All right, so we have three different. We have the Atlanta Chargers game, the Seattle Arizona game, and the Baltimore New Orleans game.
Yeah, and admittedly, I'm taking an underdog there. It's just I'm playing my hunch on the Saints right now. I think they're starting to get it together. So there we go.
Okay, well, if you bet that, you better hopefully you get some points.
You're figuring out how the betting works, are you, Mama?
No, I'm not. I have no clue, but I just think that you're going to need some.
Okay, well, I love you, and have a great day.
I love you too, sweetie. You have a great weekend. Now, listen, you guys play Miami?
That's right.
At Miami?
Yes.
Holy smokes. How do you think that's going to go?
We're going to blow them out.
Is that right?
Yeah, Miami sucks.
Oh, okay. See, I haven't seen any of their games, so I don't have any idea. Oh, well, that's wonderful. I hope so.
I hope so, too. Now that I say it,
Have a good weekend.
All right, bye, Mom.
Happy birthday on the air to my fantastic grandson, Bryce Lowell Cameron.
Yes, it is. I already wished him one. He's gotten two now. That's good. So
okay, that's good. Well, I sent him a polo, and I last night. So anyway, all right.
All right, bye, Mom. Love you.
Bye.
Love you. Bye. Oh, man.
That is a grandparent's gift if I've ever heard one.
What?
A polo.
Not a shirt. It's a Marco Polo. It's an app.
Oh.
Yeah. No. It's an app.
I thought you sent him a polo.
No. No, it's a Marco Polo. It's an app that we all have connected to it, and we all can polo each other. It's basically a video text.
I just like how, as you get older, you appreciate the polo more. As a teenager, you're like, a shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Give me a shirt. I don't even like to wear collared shirts. You give me a shirt. Right. And then you get into, for me, my early 30s, I go, ooh, thank you. That's a good gift.
Yeah.
I like this polo.
I think the thing that you liked most that I've ever given you were those two nice collared golf shirts.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well, I mean, we've given each other some nice things, but I remember. But I think honestly, I remember your face when I gave you those two nice golf shirts. You're like, all right, you were really happy. That made me laugh. Oh man, yes, my mom. I sent him a polo. I do think it's funny that you assumed that it was a shirt, but that is fair. I said to Bryce last night, pick the restaurant. In addition to you getting the gifts or whatever, you can go anywhere you want to go.
Golden Corral.
And I said, where do you want to go? And he said, I don't know any of these restaurants, Dad. No. I'm like, pick a nice restaurant. I don't know what the restaurants are that have the things besides I love Mexican food, but I'm like, we go to El Jalisco's all the time. Go pick something else. Nothing wrong with it. But
Sorry.
But he says that, don't you dare do that. So then he says, he's like, well, I don't know how to do it. And then I finally said, listen, you want steaks? You want Italian? You want seafood? You want Mexican? You want Chinese? What do you want? Let's go. And I'll pull up a list. It's just funny. Kids are like, well, I mean, if you or I were told, hey, pick any restaurant you wanted. Oh, that'd be a fun day. You're like, oh, here we go. Okay. You'd get excited. They just want genres. They just want, the fare. Just tell me what the fare is, and I don't really care.
You could take them to the one place. There's a couple in town that have like the 9-page menus. There you go. Overwhelming with choices even when you get to the table.
He finally made a decision, and it's going to be a good night. We're going to have fun.
What style of food is it?
It's a classic meat and potatoes, buddy.
Okay. All right. I can respect that.
It's he was angling towards steaks.
Hashtag respect my decision. All right.
And so that's what he was doing. And I was like, okay, well, you pick it.
A former coach of
no. There are a lot of steak places in and around the surrounding areas,
yeah.
Tom. Lots of them. So we'll be at one of them. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to celebrating with him tonight. But anyhow, we'll come back, wrap it up momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Hi. This is Alex Stimley, candidate for Leon County School Board District 4. As a lifelong resident and a graduate of our school system, I look forward to the opportunity to serve our community. My goal is to bring 20 years of Leon County educator experience and my passion for student success to generate a renewed energy for the district and to provide a new voice for our classrooms. My name is Alex Stimley, and I have paid for and approved this message, and I'm asking for your vote for Leon County School Board District 4.
Every great construction project, whether it's a new addition or renovation, starts with a plan. At T-Spark, we are excited when our clients contact us to assist with that plan. Through our team of architects, draftsmen, engineers, we can help you with your project's planning and design, potentially saving costs in the long run. Whether you have a residential or commercial project, we look forward to working with you. Call us today or visit us at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336.
Is your prostate secretly being destroyed without you knowing it? All the ads for these prostate pills like Super Beta Prostate, Saw Palmetto, ProstaStream, Prostagenics, and others. Want to know which pills work and which are garbage? Now you can. Get a free copy of the new guide, Prostate Secrets, that pulls back the curtain on the prostate pill industry. Learn what is really in these pills. Which pill has over 987 adverse event reports filed against it with the FDA? It's shocking. Learn the one food to avoid that is a prostate killer and discover the 3 so-called health foods that destroy your prostate. Get your free copy at prostatesecrets.com. That's prostatesecrets.com. This free guide will show you how to end your prostate problems without drugs or surgery, 5 important things to do to protect your prostate, and much more. Warning, this guide is controversial and may be offensive to some readers as it pulls no punches. So go to prostatesecrets.com, prostatesecrets.com. That's prostatesecrets.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Show brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
You've probably already done yours. I just did mine at spur of the moment. I'll do some more when I get a chance to go home and sit down and kind of think on it a little bit more. But spur of the moment, I found one that I loved.
Ooh, all right.
So, yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm in. So I'll tell you mine right now, and then you can post yours up here. But for this weekend, you know, Colorado is terrible in really every facet of the game. And Bo Nix has had as good a season as one could ever dream of him having, given his career prior to this season. He's been great. He's been nothing short of great. I think he'll throw for over 265 yards against Colorado. I took the over on his passing yards. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson has also been good this year for UCLA, and they're playing Arizona State. And while Arizona State has proven to be game, they fight. They don't stop a lot of people. Both teams will light up the scoreboard, and I went over his passing yardage total as well and combined it with Bo Nix. His total is 260, meaning Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That is my play. 2 overs in passing yards for Bo Nix and Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Look at you, Mr. Pac-12 today.
Well, you're looking for passing yards. Here we go.
I like that. I also like promo code Warchant if you go to prizepicks.com.
Promo code Warchant, indeed. Do it up.
It's a little 100% matchy match for you there.
Up to 1,000.
Up to, is it?
I think it's up to 1,000.
Oh, my. I didn't realize it was that lucrative.
Yeah, it is very lucrative.
How about that? And yeah, so I'll take your prize picks. It's on the bottom of Warchant TV. We'll wipe that down so people can see the promo code.
There it is. Yep.
My pick for this week involves the Noles again. Johnny Wilson under 60 receiving. I mean, that could be one play in this game if they turn Johnny Wilson loose.
I like it.
If they come down into the box and they play 7 around the line of scrimmage, Miami that is, then Johnny's going way over this number. I don't think they will. It'll be a little bit harder for Johnny to get over the 57. He won't be able to do it one play like he did against Georgia Tech.
He could.
But he might. He still might because they don't have anybody that can guard a player like Johnny. And then I also went with Stetson Bennett under the 295 and a half.
I can see that. I know Tennessee's defense is shaky, but yeah.
He's cleared 3 bills a few times this season. I always like to look at trends to see if a player has actually gone to these numbers before. And Stetson's gone over 300. He did last week against Florida, completing 50% of his passes. Tennessee's defense has gotten better. They're better.
We'll see.
Their pressure rate is decent. They're getting healthier. All those things combined, I think if Georgia's going to win the game, it's going to be a combo. It's going to be balance on offense. It's not going to be on the arm of Stetson Bennett. They would be unwise to do that. So Johnny over 57.5 and Stetson Bennett under 295.5.
All you can do is do your due diligence, your research, come up with the most logical combination, and have fun with it. And I think I like the way you went about that. But all right, we'll see what happens. I would guess. I saw where Jordan Travis, his passing yardage. Did you look that up?
Yeah, it's
200
260?
to 260.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
I was like,
Steel trap.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking to myself, 260.5.
I wish you could watch the first play.
And then bet it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guess is, do we spread them out and chuck it, or do you decide to line up and run it? Or do you spread them out and run it? I mean, there's.
Well, I think it'll be dictated by what they do. So
Sure.
if let's just say we're 3 wide and you got Cam near the line of scrimmage and running, do they have 6 in the box with the trailing guy? Do they play it and line up the way they did against North Carolina? If they do, then the Jordan 260.5 is going to be tough. He could still do it, but I would favor the ground game. And what's interesting about the Florida State-Miami game is Miami has no players at quarterback and running back. I don't even think at receiver listed for passing and all the yardages because they don't know who the quarterback is.
Yeah, it's hard to bet when you don't know who's throwing the ball.
They don't know who the lead back is going to be. And then for us, we don't have any of the running backs in prize picks this week because Trayshawn Ward is healthier. So who is going to get the lion's share of carries? We're impossible to figure out. If I said leading rusher for Florida State has 15 carries, it could be Trey Benson. It could be Trayshawn Ward.
I got a question for you. Jaden Daniels, 215.5 passing yards against Bama.
Enticing. I didn't touch it.
I wondered if you looked at it.
I had it. It was in the queue for a 3x play.
Yeah.
And I just decided, I don't know.
Hey, have fun watching that war between Liberty and Arkansas, by the way. That'll be a fun game. Just a sneaky fun game. And
it was not on my radar.
Well, and I picked Liberty getting 14 points against Arkansas.
Oh, that's right. It should be on my radar. Forgive me. Play the siren for it.
Yeah, I took that game. It's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it's probably a game of interest. By the way, for those wondering, Tom told you Stetson Bennett's numbers in the quote-unquote game of the century. Hendon Hooker's number is 285.5. That is weighty. But that offense has been magnificent. And if they are going to win the game, they're going to have to ride his arm and legs and him being brilliant. It's a Heisman moment for him.
If I had to play that, I would play the over. Because if you look at pressure rate, Georgia's not that great at getting to the quarterback. They're just really good across the board. But in terms of bringing the quarterback to the ground, they're not what they were last year. So if Hendon Hooker has time, they're going to generate open looks down the field. But I stayed off it because weird stuff can happen. Tennessee could play outside of their normal selves because they know how big this opportunity is. They play to protect instead of to attack. We've seen how that affects us. Could you imagine if we were ranked like 5th in the country because we won those 3 games in a row?
Right.
We could, Tennessee could lay an egg tomorrow. They could.
I hope they do.
Of course you do.
I hope they do. My friends at Tallulah, I want to thank you for sponsoring the final segment. Always enjoy the offerings of Tallulah. I floated. I loved it. Can't wait to get back. There's a look at how cute they are. Every time we show this graphic, they get cuter. Oh my goodness gracious.
I want that uploaded for tomorrow's watch along for touchdowns.
Oh, how good is that? So we have the pregame show, Tom. You and I
We do. 6:30.
And that'll be fun. 6:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, you clock out at 7:30, right? You're done. Yep. People were wondering in the chat.
Yeah, clocking out. And I'm looking forward to pacing and being worried. And despite the fact that I took 41-17, here I am telling you that I will be nervous tomorrow. And I will be, because I think this game is important. I mean, we're whittling it down here in the final segment. I think it's very important. We'll talk about this tomorrow on the pregame show, but it is important for Mike Norvell. It's important. This is not, I don't want to go down the path of negativity because I think they're going to win. But obviously you do consider the consequences if they don't. And it makes me nervous because I think it will affect their psyche moving forward. 1 loss could quickly become 2 because you're down after a road game that you're favored in. You go and end up in Syracuse and you're flat. You could find yourself reeling a little bit, and that ain't good for nobody. So we got to really hope. Hey, Noel Kev, appreciate you. Woo! So you're saying Verse could fall back to the area of my division-leading Atlanta Falcons. Well played. Woo! South Florida Noel, please tell Coach Mike Norvell that before the game, do not let his players go to midfield. I think that works against this particular team of his. Instead, have them take victory laps with Superman capes. That's well done. I agree with you. They can't fall for the okie doke here, man. You cannot get drawn into an emotional exchange before the game. You can be intensely focused. You can be ready to play. You can play with great, I think, not enthusiasm, because I think you got to be careful about, too much energy expenditure early. But I do believe that you can be as intense and focused as you want to be. You still get drawn into the extracurricular stuff that, if you're Miami, you would be wise to try to get them to do. We fell for it last year against Florida, and I thought it affected the way we played. So I agree with South Florida and Older. That's solid. I agree. We should do a probable, shouldn't we? I mean, you're not out of it yet.
That was a toughie last night.
It was a great game, though. I mean, if you just like baseball, and I do. I'm rooting for our boys just because I want to see Director Matthews' Phillies win it, but
they should have won it on uniform principle alone.
Oh,
that you're willing to roll that out during the World Series.
How great are they? Yeah, I know. I agree. You ready? All right, cue it up, and I'll read you the probable for the game that the Phillies will win to force Game 7.
It's time for how you say the pitching probables.
Little Samo Reed music action. Phillies are going to throw Zach Wheeler on Saturday.
Hopefully that doesn't happen in the red zone tomorrow.
And the Astros will throw Framber Valdez. And he's been really good. Come on, Phillies. I want to see a Game 7. And that's a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Boom, 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 boom. No, I'm not gonna. Guys, come on, Phillies. It's not over yet. It is not over yet. Hang in there. You still can believe. I saw the dejected face of Director Matthew as he came in this afternoon, I should say. Saddened me
to the core.
Well, I know how hard it is to have a team in a position to win a championship. And I know the nerves that are accompanied with that. Like when the Bucs were playing in the Super Bowl, remember how nervous we were because you don't know when you're getting back.
I was so thankful for the waste management tournament that day. That helped pass the time. Otherwise, I would have just been, I don't know what. Would have walked out of town and back.
I pace on big games like this with Miami. I do. I'll go play basketball with my kids outside, and we'll go do a bunch of different things and try to be active, watch a lot of games.
Suck it, Canes.
That's right. That's right. Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow on the pregame show.